Coming in at number 10, you asked for it, you got it, it's Area 52. Area 52 always floods the comment sections of these videos, and as we're on part 5 now, probably the last part, I thought I would include it because do you know what? You're right. Area 51 may be shrouded in mystery and alien conspiracies, but now that we all know where it is, do you not think that perhaps the government will have started up a whole new secret alien base, right? Barack Obama even joked about Area 51 when he was president, which means there is no way that the base still contains anything top secret. The public found out about Area 51, but the United States is a big place. There's 3.8 million square miles of land, so plenty of space to hide them aliens for reals. Coming into number 9, we have Savannah, Georgia. It is said that Savannah is the most haunted place in the United States of America. Is anyone here watching from Savannah? Savannah has a rich history and is home to a lot of haunted properties, including the Hampton Lilliebridge house, which has a mystery crypt, and it's said to be like super extra haunted. There is a scary place within a scary place too. Even though the entirety of Savannah is haunted and scary, there is no place more haunted and more scary than the Bonadventure Cemetery. In the cemetery you'll find a weeping statue of a little girl named Gracie who haunts the spot at night. Why don't ghosts haunt in the day? Any day ghosts out there? Holler at me. So over time people have started leaving little gifts for the little girl. It seems that she plays with them at night and moves them inexplicably. However, you should never touch Gracie's trinkets. If you do, her statue is said to cry blood out of frustration. In the same cemetery there is also a statue of Corrine Elliott. Now according to legend, if you look this statue in the eye, you'll be cursed. Cursed I say. Coming into number 8, we have the beaches in Queensland, Australia. Sometimes I imagine aliens to look a lot like jellyfish, you know, they're kind of ethereal and gelatinous and tentacly. This is me being an alien. Also, they're poisonous, maybe, to us. We have no idea. We don't even know if them aliens actually exist, but them jellyfish are very real, and a whole bunch of them can and will kill you. Like, absolutely outright. Uruk-Angie jellyfish are silent, near invisible killers, and they live in the seas of northern Australia. They can actually appear on coasts from Exmouth in Western Australia to Gladstone in Queensland during jellyfish season. 'Tis the season to be jolly. Fa la la la. Stay away from the coast October to May. They're tiny, but they are deadly. Now 2002 was an exceptionally bad year for death by these teeny weeny jellyfish. The beasties are related to the also very deadly box jellyfish. Coming into number 7, we have the Bell Witch Cave. The cave is located in Adams, Tennessee on a farm that once belonged to the Bell family. Caves are of course terrifying anyway as a self-contained thing, but this cave has an especially terrifying legend associated with it. The story goes that the Bells were tormented by an evil witch in 1817. They found strange animals around their property and heard odd knocking sounds at night. They soon discovered dead small things like little bugs and birds and stuff. A committee was formed and an investigation team. It was then concluded that once there had been a witch in the hood called Kate, although she was more often dubbed the Bell Witch. The spirit was said to live in a cave and would make her way out to harm the family. The witch went away in 1820, but she returned in 1828, just like she said she would. She claimed that she'd be back again and then disappeared. These days the Bell Witch Cave is still a spooky place to go, with many strange occurrences happening nearby. I for one wouldn't go there alone. I don't need any bad witch energy. I don't need it. Okay, let me pronounce this at number 6. We have the GOMANTONG cave in Malaysia. GOMANTONG. Sounds fun, isn't? This cave is home to 3 things I'm worried about: bats, bat poop, and cockroaches. None of them good. The cave is in Borneo and it is home to millions of bats that leave huge piles of poop. Now, you've heard the term bat crazy, right? That's because bat poop can actually make people seriously ill and act crazy. On top of that, the cave is entirely infested by roaches. Giant cockroaches that crawl across the cave walls and floors, eating the bat poop and any remains of dead things. People can actually visit the caves. There's a wooden boardwalk running through, but I would not want to go inside. Locals do venture in to collect birds' nests for birds' nest soup, but I don't know. I don't feel good about the bats. Bats have rabies and stuff. Coming in at number 5, we have the Amazon River Basin. Okay, so Area 51 may or may not be privy to them aliens, but I can tell you what lives in the Amazon River, and it's terrifying. Anacondas, the world's most powerful snakes that can grow as long as 30 feet and also eat up to 40 pounds of prey every day. What else lives there? Big bugs. bugs, poisonous frogs, jaguars, and piranhas. There are 20 different species of piranha in the Amazon River. Now, piranhas are little savages that absolutely can and will kill people. They travel in a shoal, a big group, gnawing their prey in a flash of frenzy as they feast in the, I don't know, big group of scary things with big teeth. Coming in at number 4, we have Delol. I mean, visually, Delol is already way scarier than Area 51 because, well, I guess let me show you a video. Yes, this is planet Earth. This is actually one of the hottest, most acidic and smelly places on Earth. Delol is in the Afar region of Ethiopia in Africa and is regularly hailed the hottest, most apocalyptic place on Earth, and it's easy to see why. Temperatures regularly reach 45 degrees Celsius or 114 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the reason it's so colourful is as a result of its acidic hot springs, with lots of sulphur, salt, iron oxide and other minerals present. Sulphur means smell, acid means erosion, which means I don't want to go there. I just don't, although it is kind of cool and Instagrammable. The murder capital of the world, ladies and gentlemen. At number 3 we have Caracas. Last year there were 2,980 reported murders. Reported. Roughly 1% of the population of this city in Venezuela is murdered each year, which is outrageous. Drug cartels run the city and there is a severe gun problem. The issue is that the police just can't deal. Only 8 out of every 100 crimes are punished. Now the issue is so bad in recent years that there was even a murder exhibit for the fallen. Being murdered is one big concern, but it's also quite likely that you'll be mugged, or if you aren't from the area, perhaps you'll even be kidnapped with your family extorted for money. Ooh, taking things to Egypt at number 2, we have the Void. I would not want to be inside an ancient Egyptian pyramid. Period. Bad things tend to happen when pyramids are open. Google the Curse of the Pharaohs if you've never heard of it, although I'm sure you have if you've watched a lot of these lists. So the pyramid of the pharaoh Khufu is still sealed, thank goodness. Ain't nobody going around opening ancient Egyptian pyramids anymore, right? It seems that along with the University of Cairo and the Egyptian government, the Heritage Innovation Preservation Program have been scanning the Great Pyramids of Giza for signs of what might be inside. There might be something strange in this neighbourhood, because it seems that actually something that can only be described as a void has been picked up. Built in 2560 BC, this mysterious pyramid has been locked away and secret for over 4,000 years. Now by scanning the pyramid with cosmic rays, the team behind the research estimate that the void is 98 feet long and 50 feet high. Pretty big. It seems that the void is completely sealed off from any known passageways inside the pyramid. There's no way to get in, so how was it built? Whatever is inside that pyramid, I don't want to know. I don't want to be cursed, so I'm staying away. I don't like the sound of that void. Finally, coming into number 1, is there anything scarier than the Dark Side of the Moon? Great music album, terrifying concept. 12 humans have been to the moon, and honestly, that sounds stressful enough. No humans, however, have stepped foot on the dark side of the moon though, for many practical reasons. However, there have been flybys and they sound very stressful. Astronauts on the Apollo 10 mission passed around the dark side of the moon. The mission took place in May 1969 before the moon landings, and when the spacecraft was orbiting the dark side of the moon, they lost all radio contact with ground control and the rest of the Earthlings. As Apollo careered around the moon, they heard some very, very strange and unsettling sounds, like very strange sounds.
You hear that whistling sound? Yeah. Look at your...
The now declassified recordings from space are a very weird listen. We can hear weird woo-hooing sounds, and the astronauts are even talking about it with one another. They're clearly freaked out. They were recorded and received by NASA when the mission returned to Earth, but they were kept a secret for many years. Alien orchestra conspiracy theories aside, the dark side of the moon is A, obviously dark because there's no sunlight, and B, so cold. It is minus 173 Celsius or minus 280 degrees Fahrenheit, which honestly sounds horrifying to me, and I live in Canada, which gets pretty cold in the winter. Alright, let's do this. Coming in at number 10, we have Snake Island. Snake Island, an island of snakes. Snakes, anyone? You, sir, would you like to slither with snakes? No. No, you wouldn't. Listen, I may be the Slytherin queen, but this is too much for me. Snake Island is a wee little spit of land officially called Queimada Grande off Brazil. The island may be small at just 110 acres in area, but it's home to over 4,000 venomous snakes. Hurrah! It's the golden pit viper. Beyond those yellow-bellied death traps, there are thought to be hundreds of thousands of other snakes too. Great, it's a snake fest. The island is so dangerous that you simply can't travel there. There's no tourism, you're not allowed, thankfully. I don't know about them aliens. I don't know what they've got going on, but I know a bite from one of these snakes will kill me, so I'm gonna stay clear. No thank you. No siree. Okay, there is a good chance if you take a drive here, you aren't coming back alive. Coming into number 9, we have the North Youngest Road, aka the most dangerous road in the world. The North Youngest Road can be found in Bolivia and has been nicknamed as Death Road. Great! Promising. In 1995, the road was voted the most dangerous in the world by the Inter-American Development Bank. It also received a fear factor scale of 10 out of 10 by drivingexperiences.com. As of yet, nobody has peaked it to the post. No other road has claimed that prize. It's still the most dangerous. There are varying reports on the danger of this road, with some suggesting the yearly death toll is around 300 people, but others say that actually the road sees around 1,300 fatalities in a year, which is significantly more than Area 51. Either way, we can all agree that this road is an absolute death trap, and it's steep, it's potholed, it's narrowed, it has hairpin bends, it's dusty, it's susceptible to poor weather such as fog and tropical downpours and landslides, and once again, you're never gonna see me driving this ever. On top of that, the nearest ambulance crews are a 2.5 hour drive away, so if you get hurt, you know, you're getting hurt and probably not fixed. Coming into number 8, we have the Paris Catacombs. The mystery. What's going on down there? We don't really know. Under the city of Paris lay the remains of more than 6 million people spread over 200 miles of intricate tunnel work. Only a very small section is open to the public, which has set imaginations wild. There are ghost stories coming out of every corner, every orifice. With any mystery, of course, obviously comes a healthy dose of the spooks. The story goes that the creepy underground tunnels were built to deal with the city's problem of overflowing cemeteries. People in Paris just kept on dying and there was nowhere to put them. Because of the curious and morbid nature of the catacombs, many rumors have cropped up as to what's happening down there. Ghost stories, sure, but theories range from the tunnel being home to albino alligators. Snip snap. Others say that they are the hiding place of a number of serial killers, the meeting places for Masonic cults, a spooky gathering spot for Satanists. Some rumors even go out there and say that Nazis hid down there in the Second World War, and actually I wouldn't be surprised. Either way, a dark network of tunnels underground. Really not for me. I don't like to be indoors, so underground just doesn't make me feel good. Coming in at number 7, we have Fomalhaut B. What in the fresh hell are we looking at here? Questions? I need answers. Honestly, to me, this literally looks like the Eye of Sauron, and I'm not here for it. Spaceman, honestly, truly, it's horrifying. I could fill this whole list with space, but I've kept it to a minimum because I guess it's kind of beyond our grasp. So let me tell you what we're looking at, and perhaps it'll make some sense. Fomalhaut B is an exoplanet, also known as Dagon. It's an extrasolar object, and it orbits the star that gave it its name. It is a planet completely shrouded in ethereal space dust. How far away is this terrifying formation? Just 25 light years. The 2012 images from the Hubble Space Telescope are absolutely terrifying. Also, side note, the name Dagon in mythology is a Jewish deity which is represented as a half man and half fish, which I don't even know if that makes it scarier or less scary, or it's just extra information, but my mind is boggling. Boggling. Space, it's just mind-boggling in general, right? Coming into number 6, we have the Yellowstone volcano. The ticking time bomb waiting to explode, and when it does, it will bring North America to its knees. Hurrah! In theory, Yellowstone isn't that scary right now, but it has been in the past, and one day it very much will be terrifying in the future. We just don't know when. The volcano has erupted, so far as we know, 3 times in the past. It's caused absolute havoc each time, but prior to now, there were no humans around to experience it. The last known eruption was 640,000 years ago, before that 1.3 million years ago, and then before that 2.1 million years ago, which, if we're able to equate a rough pattern, means that we could be due a new eruption soon. If it does blow, 1,000 degree flowing lava will spew, incinerating those nearby. Beyond that, those within a 100-kilometer radius could be scalded with burning hot ash. Now, the ash could fall over a 500-mile radius from the epicenter of the eruption, causing Again, havoc. It is one of the most potentially dramatic places in the world, and it has the potential to bring about a finale for North America, or at least a very, very crippling blow. So speaking of eruptions, we have this horrifying silent killer at number 5. Oh yes, that is right, it is Lake NYOS. Lake NYOS is continually a disaster waiting to strike, and luckily now we know about it, but that wasn't always the case. In 1986, it was responsible for the death of 1,746 people and over 3,500 livestock. Geologists are not sure exactly what took place to cause the disaster. They think it could have been a landslide or an underwater earthquake, but whatever happened on the 21st of August, carbon dioxide trapped at the bottom of the deep lake burst out in an underwater eruption that created a deadly gas cloud. The cloud then descended into nearby villages, killing people and livestock within a 25-kilometer radius of the lake, which is pretty far. It is reported that the normally blue waters of the lake turned blood red on that day, which is quite the omen, even if it can be explained by iron-rich water rising to the surface and oxidizing. Other lakes have since been studied to see if they could generate the same effect. Lake Kivu in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is 2,000 times the size of Lake NYOS, and it was found to be a risk too. Deadly lakes, I don't like them. I don't like them. Coming into number 4, we have the AGBOGBLOSHIE dump site. This is where electronic waste goes to die, but it is killing others in the process. Why? Toxic gas. When you throw out an old phone or a computer, do you ever really wonder where it goes? For a lot of us living privileged lives in the West, we don't really think about what happens to things when we throw them out, which is part of the problem with the way that we live. Once we toss things, they no longer become our responsibility, but they do continue to exist. A lot of electronic waste is sent to less fortunate countries to deal with. The AGBOGBLOSHIE dump site in Accra, Ghana is made up of only 20% Western waste and 80% West African waste, but still it's a source of income for a lot of Ghanaians, but it is really polluting things. The thing is though, e-waste and the burning of e-waste creates some serious pollutants. Toxic smoke billows from this wasteland. Those in the area are exposed to carbon monoxide, arsenic and zinc. They're very abundant in the air. This is one place you would really want to hold your breath, or just, start praying. Or just don't go there. Another place not to go, we have the Doomsday Glacier. I mean, with a name like that, it doesn't sound great, does it? The Doomsday Glacier is the nickname given to the Thwaites Glacier. The glacier is a massive piece of ice floating in the Antarctic in Pine Island Bay, which is here on the map. Cold, 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 remote, remote, remote. If you say thing 3 times, it's gotta be true, right? In fact, the glacier is so remote that only 28 humans have ever set foot there, which is less than space. Sure, the conditions are icy and dicey, but the issue with the Doomsday Glacier is not where it is, but what it can do. It seems that the Thwaites Glacier may hold the fate of the world in its icy body. It's thinned by nearly a quarter since the 1970s, which is bad news bez. You may know that half of the world's population lays within 50 miles of the coastline. The glacier melting will destabilize the rest of the West Antarctic ice, and sea levels could rise 10 feet across the board, but because of tidal bulges, 13 feet in Boston and New York. Now, geologist Richard Alley said West Antarctica could do to the coastlines of the world what Hurricane Sandy did in a few hours to New York City. Scary stuff. Coming into number 2, we have the North Sentinel Island. This island is so dangerous that anyone who has ever set foot there that wasn't born there has been killed. Why is the island in the Bay of Bengal so scary? Because it's home to the most hostile tribe of all time, the Sentinelese. The Sentinelese tribe are an uncontacted indigenous tribe that want to be left alone, and famously have been known to kill intruders. In 2006, they murdered illegal fishermen, and in 2018, they killed an American missionary. His body was seen on the beach, just, dead. The island is banned for travelers, but that doesn't mean that people haven't tried to go there. Honestly, they must have a death wish. Death by angry tribe really isn't my favourite way I can think of going. Scary. A scary island. One of the scariest places in the world at number 1. Honestly, this gives me low-level anxiety just in general. We have Galveston National Laboratory. So this science lab in Texas, USA is where the world's deadliest diseases are kept under lock and key, with 24-hour security presence patrolling by the state police. The lab is home to the Ebola and Marburg viruses, the combination required for an outbreak outbreak of Spanish flu, which killed 40 million people between 1918 and 1919, as well as more. Much more. Quite like the Spanish flu, the lab contains the last remains of extinct diseases that most people on Earth don't have immunity to anymore, for example smallpox or leprosy. Great! The reason dangerous pathogens are stored there is several-fold. It allows scientists to study the properties, and if they ever break out again, we have already isolated the disease in order to generate a cure. The building is scary though for many reasons. Plus, if the wrong people got their hands on the pathogens, then they could launch a biological attack. Remember the bit about the diseases that we don't have immunity to? Yeah, scary, right? Coming in at number 10, we have the Hill of Crosses in Lithuania. A hill of 200,000 crosses dating back over 100 years. Yikes. It seems that people have been making pilgrimages to the hill in the northern part of the Baltic country since the 1800s, and now the spot looks something from a gothic horror movie. I imagine it's very terrifying at night. A lot of people believe that the crosses started cropping up to mark the victims of revolt against the Russian regime in 1831 and 1863. During the Soviet era, the site was set alight by the Soviets, but it was rebuilt in the cover of darkness. Coming in at number 9, we have the Tower of London. Shout out England. So the Tower of London, aka one of the most haunted places in the world, let alone England, is utterly horrifying, much scarier than Area 51. The Tower of London has been home to many murders, and it appears to have the ghosts to show for it. The spooks of the Tower of London are two-pronged. On the one hand, there are the ghosts, and on the second hand, there are the crows. The tower has been the prison and death spot of some of the most famous people in British history, including Henry VIII's wife Anne Boleyn, who was beheaded here in 1536. She is said to haunt the tower to this day. Also haunting the tower are two young princes who were killed on the orders of Richard III. Now the two youngsters still appear to this day to other children who visit the tower on school trips. The most dramatic ghost is the Countess of Salisbury, who had a very grisly death here indeed. She broke free of her executioner, who instead of chopping her head clean off with an axe, kinda made a bad job of it. She can be spotted running around and heard screaming in the castle grounds. Oh, and there's also the ghost of a bear. It seems that exotic animals used to be kept in the grounds, and the disgruntled spirit of a giant captive bear is still roaming free. Although, not free. Never free, sadly. Now for the crows. Now the crows are a symbol of bad omens, witchcraft and death. There are a lot of crows at the Tower of London, and legend has it, if the crows ever leave, England will fall. It seems that the intensity of this place is palpable. One tourist had a turn when she was on a guided tour of the tower. It said that she was in one of the rooms used to imprison former enemies of the crown when she broke down screaming, I quote, "There's just so much suffering." Scary, right? Coming into number 8, we have the Bermuda Triangle. I have never talked about the flipping Bermuda Triangle more in my life than during the period that I have worked at this channel, because it's like mentioned all the time. You guys love it. It's ridiculous. But here we go again. Let me give you my best hosting voice for this. Forget Area 51. The dread is in the seabed. That's right. I'm talking about the Bermuda Triangle. See? Good hosting voice. There have been 12 notable aircraft incidents and 10 notable sea incidents in which some 300 people have lost their lives. Some cite mystic fogs, some say explosive gas bombs underground, others claim magnetic fields and forces, and other people pin the drama on underwater aliens, because why not? Whatever is happening in the Bermuda Triangle, the fact that it is a large expanse of deep dark ocean makes it far scarier than Area 51. Speaking of deep dark ocean, shall we discuss the Mariana Trench? I think we shall. It's coming into number 7. The Mariana Trench, for those of you who don't know, is the very deepest part of the ocean, and it's located near Guam, which is pretty far out in the middle of the Philippine Sea. The Mariana Trench is pretty huge too. It spans 1,580 miles in length and 43 miles in width. The deepest part of the trench is called the Challenger Deep, which is officially 10 10,994 meters below sea level, so 36,070 feet down. However, some unconfirmed reports add a further 40 or so meters to that depth, which is crazy. So the very bottom of the most remote part of the ocean is a pretty intense concept. It would be nearly pitch black down there, and also the pressure would be crushing. Movie director James Cameron has actually been down there, and travelling back up to the surface does mean a rigorous process of decompression. If you come up too quickly, cutting a long story short, basically, you'll go pop. A 2016 research expedition found very high levels of a chemical toxin called PCB in the sediment of the trench. Now, this toxin was banned on land in the 70s because it can cause liver damage and affect hormones. So, yeah, many reasons to be afraid of the trench. Also, sea monsters, you know? This is so sad. At number 6, we have the Cambodian killing fields. If you don't know about the Cambodian killing fields, well, I feel like you need to. Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge regime organised the mass genocide of almost 1.5 million people in just 4 years, which is a lot of quick killing. Following the downfall of the regime in 1979, 20,000 mass graves were discovered with thousands of bodies in every single one of them. Piles upon piles of skulls and bones still litter the landscape. Many of these people were from religions banned by the regime, such as ethnic Chinese, Vietnamese, Muslims, and 20 other minorities, as well as those who threatened the regime's communist ideology. Do you want to see some images of the mass graves? I mean, you probably don't, but I imagine a photo is better than being there. It looks truly haunting. It isn't just the memory of the regime that echoes through Cambodia. I imagine that there are a fair few ghosts too. Speaking of ghosts, coming into number 5, we have the Amityville Horror House. In 2016, it was reported that the Amityville Horror House was for sale. Imagine being the realtor. I bet they were like 3.5 bedrooms, 2 spacious bathrooms, and a poltergeist. Honestly, I don't know if it was ever solved, but like, mate, I really would rather you than me. I say that like I've got enough money to buy a house. I'd probably actually have to settle with a horror house with my negligible budget, but still. Ghouls! So, let's take it to 112 Ocean Avenue, Long Island. Self-confessed expert demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren investigated the property, and of the many cases that the pair were involved in their time, they both claimed that this was the absolute worst. In fact, Lorraine said that she was scared to ever return. The story goes that in 1974, 23-year-old Ronald J. Defoe Jr. murdered his entire family while they slept at their home. He killed 6 people. Now, these were his 4 siblings and his parents. He said that he'd heard voices that told him to do it. Now, 1 year later, the house was eventually purchased for $80,000, which was a lot in its day. The buyers, the Lutz family, stayed just 28 days because of the horror they experienced. George and Kathy Lutz said that they saw slime coming out of the walls, knives being thrown from counters, they saw figures wandering and wailing. George even said that he saw his wife levitating and an evil red-eyed pig-like creature glaring at him. Ed and Lorraine were brought in along with priests to rid the house of spirits, but the general consensus is that they stuck around. Speaking of spirits, at number 4 we have the Akigahara forest in Japan. If you feel like that name is familiar, it's probably because somewhere at the back of your mind you remember the YouTube scandal with Logan Paul in early 2018. Akigahara is a forest at the base of Mount Fuji that formed over lava. Explosive. Parts of the forest are very, very dense, and it's possible to get lost in the jumble of trees, which is perhaps why the area has very sadly become a draw for those looking to end their lives. The forest is considered to be one of the most popular suicide spots in the world, and it is estimated that around 200 people each year contemplate suicide, with around half going through with it. There aren't official numbers, it could be more. The Japanese government kind of want to disassociate death from the forest image. It should just be a lovely forest, right? A lot of reports of ghosts have come from the forest too. In fact, a popular Japanese legend says that the forest is home to yuri, ghosts that will never find rest. Coming into number 3, we have the JSA. Often referred to as the scariest place in the world, the Joint Security Area is the infamous spot that joins North Korea and South Korea, where in the past soldiers have stood guard and ready to face one another. Landmines and other explosives line the divide. Now, North Korea is notoriously volatile and has made constant threats to its neighbour, and the space between the two nations has historically been very tense. If you were caught in the JSA, likely you would be killed on sight as they aren't running any risks here. In recent years, aggression has scaled back and it seems as if South Korea and North Korea might be trying to put aside their beef. That being said, I still wouldn't want to be in the no man's land between the two nations. A place I also wouldn't want to be caught short. Coming into number 2, we have Fort Knox. You think that the place America may or may not keep its aliens is scary? Mate, imagine how scary the place America keeps its money must be. Fort Knox is home to the United States Bullion Depository, which holds half the country's wealth. Now, Fort Knox is absolutely a no-entry zone. It's got armed guards and high-tech defense mechanisms. If you're not supposed to be there, then I'm sure you'll be disposed of in one way or another. Recently, the United States Treasury said that Fort Knox is equipped with the latest and most modern protective devices, which, to me, sounds pretty threatening. Although, let's be fair, it's only really a scary place for baddies. Most people will be very happy that the wealth of a country is so safe. That being said, I wouldn't go storming this building anytime soon, or, you know, ever. Okay, we've talked about some scary places, and I know that our Earth-dwelling brains can't really deal with this, but like honestly, are there many places scarier than our number 1? The Eye of Jupiter! Haha, no, they're not. The Red Eye of Jupiter is a storm that has been observed raging since 1830, so, you know, just a casual 189-year massive thunderstorm. Now I say massive, let's put this into context. The storm is, wait for it, 12,400 miles long and 7,500 miles wide, which is, lol, like 2 or 3-ish times the size of the Earth. So when I say that's a big storm, I really mean it. The storm should, in theory, have dispersed after a few decades, but honey just keeps on raging, and it's a mystery, but not a mystery I want to be face to face with. Jupiter is very far from home and not in the least bit livable to us humans, so showing up in the most tempestuous part of it, well, it would be an interesting kind of death.